reset stuff so that they're tightened up
But
again.
see, there's a
Right.
problem because configurations can be different, operating systems can be different.
Well, can't policies handle that sort of stuff?
Yeah,
No.
Well, I think that's kind of like what some of these
Yeah.
software does, just like the Java cool software.
Mm-hmm.
There's a button that you'll say, okay, for Internet Explorer to protect it, and it makes about, I don't know, like 30 or 40 changes to it to make it secure without you having to do anything other than, okay, just let it secure it for me. And if you find something that gets blocked, then you have to go in and manually unblock it.
Well, you could always add it to startup too.
The what?
The startup, so when the PC gets booted up, it runs through all that.
Well, that's why I was curious if there's some kind of script that
there's not a
someone can
one-size
run
fits
that.
all. It's usually better to use one that's on your system because it knows what version of browser you're using. It's going to depend.
Well, the browser seems to be already covered by some of this software, but other things, I would think that, people that are more involved with security, they can say, well, these certain things maybe should be turned off or they're not necessary, and let's go ahead and make it even more secure. And then if someone finds that all of a sudden they can't use their system for some reason, that they can turn something in particular back on.
That's the problem. And sometimes something may be off or on by default because it works for their organization.
Right, but organizations, obviously, the people are already writing these scripts, these policies to secure the system. So I would think in the same way that people that would work for a major organization, they know, oh, okay, these are certain best practices that, because there's like a lot of services in Windows that don't really need to be on or running, that someone can say, okay, I'm going to run this script that's going to turn off these services that aren't really critical.
Well, you're thinking old XP, I think.
Well, I would think that
But
would
yeah,
be
they're
true for any,
you can write
even
scripts,
Vista,
and there are some
that
out there, but
would
they're
be
usually
true.
specifically for a particular system or an individual, or if it's a company, their organization. It's just very hard to say one size fits all.
Right, well, if
Understand.
within the software, if they're saying that, okay, I'm going to make these 40 changes to Internet Explorer to make it more secure, someone in that particular instance has created some type of policy to say, hey, these 40 changes really should be made to make it secure. But does that mean that everyone should do it? I would say that in this case, they're just saying that for the majority of people, these 40 changes are going to be, best policy. And I would think, if someone has a grandmother, what's she going to be doing on the system other than probably just maybe email or surfing the internet? She's not going to do anything major that she requires all these other things.
Built into those
My wife's
protection
a grandma, and
programs.
she does all
All
that
that
stuff.
stuff.
My wife's a grandma, and she does all that stuff.
But I mean, for people that are just doing basic things, that means that there could be more aggressive policies that are put in place because it's going to protect those individuals, because they're not going to say, well, gee, I go to this website and all of a sudden, there's certain things that aren't, Flash isn't running, for example, or, certain JavaScripts are not, running. For those people, it's not going to be as big of a deal.
And that's why it's easier that you use the built-in program features to do that. And then it's a one-click to undo it. Rather than having we just don't have a script we can put out there that...
Oh, so you're not aware of any type of...
They're out there being used, but like I say, they're...
But just when companies, that they're the only ones that do that then, or...
I would say mostly. The average consumer doesn't have the resources and the time to do that.
Yeah.
That's why I would think, well, gee, there's people that have resources to sell antivirus software. I would think, well, those same, you would think,
Well, isn't that
or I would
what,
think those
isn't that
same type
what
of
some of these
people
protection
would be
things are doing anyway?
Yes.
When you say click to protect, there's scripts running in the background to do a lot of these things
Yeah.
you're
That's
talking about.
correct. But I'm just saying, other than just, let's say, Internet Explorer, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, because like what you're saying about, group policies and things like that, I would think, That's the very thing that I was thinking of, that
Yeah.
there could be other
Additional.
things that could be, other additional things that could be turned on.
There's some short, like fixed scripts and different things you can do. It's called Kelly's Corner. He's a Microsoft MVP, and he has a bunch of already prepared scripts that will do X, Y, and Z, and it's about 200. But most consumers don't know what they need.
Oh, Kelly's Corner, that's one that
Yeah.
he does that?
With
Is that a
Kelly.
resource on here?
I don't think so.
Have you run into anybody or any instances of things such as iPods or MP3s or cameras, memory cards being infected?
Yeah. Anything you
Because-
plug in there.
I was going to say, I think that's one of the areas that's going to take a lot of education because everybody plugs everything into computers now.
And, we started with that, with the trading viruses on floppy disks, remember?
Yeah. If I've been taught.
Some of us remember that anyway.
I do. Go ahead.
Do the 3 editions of the software, like Avast Home Edition, will it detect rootkits?
Some of them have rootkit protection, most of them do. But it's not 100%. If you're already infected with one, I would say sometimes they can detect it.
The word education popped up. Besides, like telling people to, not click on something that says you're infected, click here to pay now. What would you say? What would you say that like the minimum advice would be for like one of us to give a family member or whatever? We just install that fresh machine, put that minimum level of software, follow the definitions, and we have it set up to automatically update 2 a.m. every night or whatever. What for browsing habits or for just basic usage habits, what would you say would be the minimum to education
I'll tell you
employee?
what I tell my family members, and they're set up with all the antivirus, firewall, automated scanning, automated updates. So I know they're pretty safe and they're running Vista, which is a help. But if they run across something funny, I tell them, close the browser. Don't go for the X to close, just close the browser.
Yep.
It's that simple. If you run across something that's weird, and then go do a scan, of course, to make sure that something didn't get in. I mean, that would be your follow-up step, but to just don't trust. And I also tell them, don't trust everything you see on a Google search. Just because it's on Google doesn't mean it's safe.
Don't do peer-to-peer either.
Oh, that's a
But
good
it,
one.
but it does mean it's
That's
correct.
the worst one.
It's always right. It's on a website. I saw it.
And I also listed some resources. There's one called Virus Total, which is a website this guy set up, HISPASEC Labs. And they have a server with 32 different antiviruses installed on it. And you can upload a file. Like if you just downloaded something and you kind of want to get a second opinion, well, you can get like 32 second opinions. And you just upload the file. There's a limit of like 10 MBs, I think. But for most,
What was that called? Where
Virus Total,
That's on this.
no
one of these
spaces.
pages?
Yeah. www.virus. And another one is Johnny's Malware Scan, and it does the same thing. So there are actually some online sites out there. You can pre-scan files before you open them. They're not 100%. That's not to say that something brand new, fresh on the internet this afternoon might get missed. But with 32 scanners, scanning that one file, and it'll give you a report. And from there you can, and even if it finds a detection, that doesn't necessarily mean the file's infected. If it's only 2 or 3, you might have something new, or it might be a false positive in that one program.
Do you have any opinion on, for instance, Yahoo will say it's, an attachment that's been scanned, on, whether that's any good?
I don't know what they're using, but I like getting more opinions than just one.
Mm. Oh, yeah.
Because any program can miss something, and that's why people use multiple scanners a lot, because we can't catch it all.
Mm-hmm.
What? Let's say somebody sends you an email, or you get an email that has an infected file in it as an attachment, or you start to install a program where you get some files and your scanner finds it. What do you recommend as far as